I'm going to talk about things that can be moved, but it's good to know about, right? And they are things like electricity poles, bus stops, stormwater pits. And so it's good to know from a due diligence perspective, and they can move, or even like, those zebra crossings or, all of these things. So they can be moved, but it's good to know, and it's good to put a tick against it that they can be moved to a right place, right? So
I haven't moved a bus stop before, so
yeah, same as me. Look, I've met a few people who have been caught by bus stop. I was fingers crossed. I was lucky where there was a zebra crossing near a school, and I didn't have to move it. I was just bypassing it by a little bit, and so the traffic guy said, "Hey, this is all good."
Why did the zebra cross the road?
Yeah, I was like, is it not just black and white lines that I can draw like 2 feet away?
Can I just white out this area and then just move it up here? The kids
bring some black paint and paint it on the road, and just
people won't know. They just follow the black and white lines. The lollipop person will be very upset because they'll be like, "Where are my lines gone?"
Well, the simpleton me, that's what I thought would be the case. But of course, it does take a lot more than that in moving the bus stop and moving these lines and moving the stormwater and the electricity poles. And so it's always important to understand where is the driveway going to go for a particular development, and if there is an electricity pole, and if you're going to move it, and how much it's going to cost X, Y, and Z. And that particular service would be able to move it, right? Majority of the times they are, it's just that, you haven't allowed for some of these costs. It's very rare where a service might come back and say, "Hey, we can't move it." But it's always good to pick up a phone and just, have a check, or, and seek some advice around some of these things. It's very quick and dirty.
Yeah, often it will be, "Yeah, we can move it. It will cost you."
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so it eats away your contingency, right? And they are not cheap to move. You're talking about, $10,000, $20,000 for moving a bloody electricity pole. And so, yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun. At least watching them is always fun. So
yeah, I haven't, like I said, I haven't moved a bus stop. And I'm assuming then that you'd need, if you were to have to move it, there'd be traffic reports of all sorts that you've got to have in place. You've got to get council's input. You've got to have a really good reason as to why you're moving it, and so on.
And the implications it would have, right? The implications, if you're moving electricity pole, you might have to cut off or provide a secondary option. And so, yes, there is a lot of overlaps that happens with a lot of these things, right? I think traffic is an interesting one because, not only do you have to get the traffic reports, sometimes there is traffic management that comes into place on a lot of these things too, right? One of the things I never do pick up a site ever on a main road, especially a development site over a main road, because, with everything else together, there is this traffic management that comes into place, and these lollipop people are not cheap. I tell you, these people in, red and,
they get paid a good lot of money to stand there and go, dunk, dunk. All right. Yeah. Why did we go to university for? Did he have to get a university degree to do that?
I don't think so. I think you just have to look pretty these days to hold one of those.
I tried that as well. I tried looking pretty. I don't get it.
You didn't hit the bar, Cheryl.
What are you talking about? Oh my goodness. I've been publicly shamed. That's it.
But look, I mean, it does cost a lot of money. People don't tend to think about some of these, traffic side of things. And yeah, if it's 6 months worth of, traffic management that you have to allow for, and, even if you're allowing for, $100, $150, $200 worth of one person coming in for 4 hours or 3 hours or 2 hours, it just adds up quite significantly. And so traffic does play a big role. Again, as part of the due diligence, no one really goes into traffic details per se. And a lot of times people look at traffic reports more from a visitor's parking perspective or turning points, etc., and they come in really late in the process. And so while it's important, it's one of those things where, would it break a site? No, traffic is usually where you would find solutions to move things around. That's what I've always, felt. But it's also important to understand that, if there is traffic management involved, which is different to the traffic reports, you just need to allow for those big contingencies coming in place, right?
Yeah, yeah. And if you have larger sites where it is going to impact on the fairly significantly on the number of people and number of residents that are going to be introduced into a particular area, council is going to be really interested in your traffic reports and where the traffic going into your development and the traffic that's going out of your, new community, where they're turning circles and things like that, visibility of traffic that's coming through, traffic lights, that sort of thing.
There is whole of traffic surveys that they do, right? On one of the sites that I did, they basically sat there for almost 2 weeks, measuring how many people, how many small cars and large cars pass through this particular point and what time of the month and what time of the day. And so they use that, especially, in one of the 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐞 cases, where, people were complaining, oh, you're building 8 here and, you're only providing 2 and everyone has 4 cars these days. And, it's a small gully. Yeah. And so when you see people going with tick, tick, basically that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.